Will democracy survive in the next couple of years?
And essentially we are the same.
And there are so many needs that Minnesota has.
What people are saying they need right now.
Access to democracy is made possible by donations from the following organizations. Thomson Reuters, a global company with expertise and insight to unravel complex situations in the areas of law, tax, compliance, government, and media. Their worldwide network of journalists and editors keep customers up to speed on relevant global events. Thomson Reuters, the Answer Company. Crutchfield Dermatology, a full-service treatment center in Medi-Spa in Egan. Their goal is to help you look good and feel great with beautiful skin. With service built around courtesy, dignity, and respect, Mayo-trained Dr. Charles Crutchfield personally treats each patient and is acknowledged as one of the nation's best physicians. Firefly Credit Union, with locations throughout the Twin Cities, has proudly served Minnesotans since 1925. Firefly guides its members forward by delivering customized financial solutions to improve their lives in all aspects of banking. Firefly Credit Union, they light the way with life illuminated. Edina Eye, Physicians and Surgeons, a division of Twin Cities Eye Consultants, has proudly served the Twin Cities for more than 55 years. Now in 7 convenient locations. Using the most advanced technology combined with human touch, Edina Eye offers comprehensive services for dedicated specialists committed to excellence with innovative procedures and expertise for the most advanced eye care.
Welcome to Access to Democracy. It's Alan Miller back with you, and we're back with a return guest. Actually, a multiple return guest, hasn't been here in almost a year. Joe Atkins has been here in many different forms, including with the state legislature and now as a commissioner of the county of Dakota. And so, Joe, has anything interesting happened in the last year?
Well, I get a kick out of the fact that I've returned in many different forms. It's like a space alien or something, but it is a pleasure to be back. I miss seeing you and your crew. You've got a fabulous crew, and unfortunately, I only get to really see you. But no offense, my friend. But it's a challenge not to see people in person like we normally do. So it's great to be back. As you might imagine, in Dakota County, it's COVID and COVID and COVID, in addition to public safety issues. But the public health challenges that we have across Dakota County are massive, no different than what everybody is experiencing across the country. We've had now 94, it might be 95 deaths as of today. I believe 2,500 cases across the county. And I give a huge pat on the back to our public health staff at Dakota County. They deserved. They were named the top health department in the country just a few months ago, and they're earning that title right now.
Well, those are the heroes. I mean, you can't
truly
say enough about them.
Absolutely. And all the frontline workers. I mean, folks who many people took for granted, whether it's truck drivers or cashiers or public health nurses, and all of our public safety personnel. They all deserve even a greater pat on the back than we would normally give them. But that is taking a vast majority of the county's time and efforts right now. There are some.
Yeah, we also had a little incident concerning Black Lives Matter and certainly the killing in Minneapolis, and I know that had some repercussions right here in Dakota County. Strangely enough, I couldn't understand, for instance, while the county center was sitting in Hastings or Apple Valley, that it came under attack.
Right. Yeah. For anybody who's not familiar with what you're referencing, the Western Service Center, which is the home of the courthouse in Apple Valley, it's a county facility that was both state and federally funded. Was bombed with Molotov cocktails during the course of the riots. There were 2 individuals who were initially represented themselves as protesters said that they had ridden the Metro Transit from Minneapolis to Apple Valley, and then they got kind of caught in a lie there. There was no Metro Transit even running at that point. But they were two non-Dakota County residents who bombed the courthouse. They've been charged with federal crimes, both arson and damaged property. And just a couple of bunglers. I mean, they lost their glasses. They lost the keys to their getaway car, which is a Ford Fiesta. Just one dumb thing after another, but did nearly $100,000 in damage.
Well, they weren't protesters. Those were Atkins.
They were not protesters.
There's no reason to attack Apple Valley. And certainly the police did a good job on them. One, of course, left his glasses at the scene of the crime, and the other one left his car about 2 blocks away, and then they said they're on mass transit when there was no mass transit. So, you've got to be a little bit more careful if you're going to be an anarchist.
Yeah, well, and keep in mind, though, Apple Valley was not alone in Dakota County. Robert Street, Inver Grove Heights, I believe there were 40 businesses that were boarded up or sustained some sort of damage in West St. Paul. There was a gas station in Inver Grove Heights that was looted and robbed. There was the Egan Outlet Mall was a target. It went unscathed, but that was only because we had a curfew in place, and all of the caravans of vehicles full of, as you put it, anarchists, people looking to do damage, were being turned away because we had the curfew in place. But there was considerable damage across Dakota County. I don't, not to take anything away from what happened certainly on Lake Street and across Minneapolis and in St. Paul, but we were not unscathed.
And that is absolutely senseless. I mean, it's trying to find reason to do damage where there is no reason to do damage. You just can't condone that. No matter what your politics are, you just can't condone something like that.
And worse yet is it takes away from those who are engaged in civil and appropriate protest activities. Whether you like what the protesters are saying or not doesn't really matter. What matters is that in this country, we can do that. We can do it legitimately. We can do it nonviolently. Protest is, I mean, it's what folks bled and died for 200 plus years ago, is to have that right to do so. But these folks who engage in violence to get their point across, or anarchy, they're not doing anybody any favors. And so I feel for all those involved, whether it's on the law enforcement side, on the protest side, trying to have a serious discussion about race issues, and then only to have it polluted by these. I know we're going to be on TV, so I won't say inappropriate words, but really
we're actually
awful.
On TV. I think we now have Roku, so that we can actually be streamed live. In addition to YouTube, in addition to the 34 cities that carry this station, in addition to YouTube, we have become, in 21 years, instead of a blip, a blemish.
Well, I don't know that I'd put it quite like that either, but you indeed are a tech giant, my friend. You've come a long way. It's nice to have ways of getting the word out and communicating with people. That's why we all appreciate the opportunity to be here with you.
And we've had some. I read something the other day about the county commission and $1 million. What was that about?
So there was federal CARES dollars that were allocated to local communities, and we launched an effort. By the way, thank you to Congresswoman Craig and to our legislative delegation of the administration. We launched here in Dakota County the most comprehensive free COVID-19 testing of any county in Minnesota, and we believe of any county in the country, for those most vulnerable. We know, Alan, where our deaths are mostly occurring, and they are in our long-term care centers. They're in our assisted living facilities. 75% of the deaths are occurring there. And so we've put in place a testing program, an ongoing testing program to try to identify as early as possible those cases in those facilities, the congregate care facilities, and then in an ongoing way to address them and contain the spread as rapidly as possible. This is, I mean, it's truly meant to be a lifesaver. It launched on July 1st and will continue as long as it takes until this disease is eradicated or an appropriate treatment is found.
In that regard, if people want to get tested in Dakota County, where can they go? We're not talking about these senior homes and centers, but I know that I think I saw one that was available on Robert Street someplace, but I don't know where the other ones are. And maybe it would be good for us to tell people in Dakota County.
Absolutely, and the places do change a little bit. There's the first place I would call, by the way, is your own family. If you have a family doctor, call that family doctor. Not only do they provide testing, but they also know your family history and your health history. So they are the number one place that I would turn if you have such a family doctor. Otherwise, if you go to the county's website or MDH, Minnesota Department of Health website, there's a number of testing sites available across the county, excuse me. The challenge still, though, Alan, is the time it takes to get the test results. Not only do we still have long lines, but the results of the test can take anywhere from 3 to 7 days. So those, in addition to just finding a location to do it, we still as a nation do not have enough testing. And whether people are symptomatic or not, you're able to spread this disease to those who are most vulnerable in our population, which is a scary thing.
My son, who has been living here from Florida since, when I say here, he's in Plymouth. He's not here in Dakota County, but he was symptomatic earlier, about a week ago, and he went on Monday and got a report back negative on Tuesday.
Wow.
So that was really surprising that they did it that fast based on what I've read.
Yeah, that's fairly uncommon.
Yeah. As I read the papers, I see that we're running short on equipment again, and we're running short on PPE, and the direction has come, fortunately for us, from the state government, which has really been right on, because there seems to be no direction from the federal government at all. It's like throwing up your hands and say, okay, everybody fend for yourself.
Oh. Well, and aside from thanking government, though, I mean, I think you really got to give a nod, especially here in Dakota County. Wherever I go, you are seeing folks that are exercising social distancing. They're washing their hands. They're doing appropriate hygiene. Virtually everybody in indoor public spaces has a mask on. And those, I feel horrible for the poor cashiers and the servers and so forth in our restaurants and stores having to wear a mask all day. But I'll tell you, I certainly appreciate it because it prevents those germs, not just from COVID, but from other sorts of diseases from spreading to others. And I know it's a pain in the butt, and I know a lot of folks don't like it. But let's not just give a nod to the government officials. These are individuals that are choosing to take the right action and do the right thing to prevent spreading the disease, catching it themselves, and spreading it to others.
And I note that there is progress, though. For instance, beaches, I think, are opening up, and I know that the library system is opening up as of Monday.
Well, and that's a credit to the residents of Dakota County and across Minnesota, is we wouldn't be able to do that if there hadn't been some plateauing of the spread of the disease and a leveling off of the number of deaths. We've got, and all of those places, our libraries are opening, our service centers are opening, license centers are opening, but all of them will have appropriate physical distancing in place. We're asking folks to wear a mask. Our staffs will be wearing masks. Certainly the beach is outside. But I've made a couple of visits to Lebanon Hills just to see how it's going, and bless those folks. They really are exercising physical distancing at the beach, and there was a lot of question whether or not that would happen or not. But thus far, it's gone very well at all of our facilities, and most everything will be reopened come Monday here, Monday, July 13th.
As opposed to what we see around the country, and then the statistics
Yeah.
that we see around the country, coming back from Florida and Mississippi and Arizona and even California and to some degree New York. People are like unleashed, but they unleash themselves and they don't use their common sense. They don't take the safeguards. They don't, they seem to think that they're impervious to it. And the fact of the matter is, nobody is. We have found that out from the very young to the very old. And that's
Well,
the
maybe
category I fall into, by the way.
maybe
But,
Alan, that's one of the nice things about being Minnesotan. We don't really unleash. Or very few Minnesotans get too carried away. We're fairly responsible, regardless of your politics, regardless of your background. We're a fairly commonsensical group here, and I think we care about our neighbors and we care about those around us, and hopefully that's helping.
Schools, I know that parents certainly want the schools to reopen, but they want their children to be safe. And I wonder about all the people that work in the schools and the teachers and all the personnel, even the janitorial staff and all. How do we keep all those people safe and put the kids back in school who might be carriers, even if they have no symptoms? And then they take it home to their parents or their grandparents. And what do we do about that?
Well, the first thing we got to remember is I think we've all developed a new or greater appreciation for our teachers and our paraprofessionals and everybody in our schools. We don't have any school-age kids in my household anymore, but all of my nieces and nephews and friends who do are talking about how difficult it is to be a teacher or a paraprofessional working with their own kids. So I think everyone, like you noted, will be happy when the kids are able to get back to school. And I certainly look forward to that. I think not only we talk about the COVID issues, but you've got kids who are losing out on a year of education. They're losing out on all of the things that come along with being in school. And I'm not just talking about sports or theater, but the socialization skills, all those things that come along with it. Science is going to dictate it. Medicine is going to dictate it. And I think we've got the best medical folks both here in Minnesota and at Dakota County to help provide some guidance. I've heard options like sending kids back every other day from certain grade levels, and then the opposite grade levels would go, say, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. But I'm confident that we've got great people looking at it. I don't want to interject my judgment into it because as a county official, I'd be the first to tell you I don't have that expertise to tell you what would work best. I'd look forward to our medical officials and our school officials to come up with the best decision that they can. But I sure hope kids are able to get back into school.
And of course, there have been a lot of people who have been affected in terms of food shortages. And I know that we have food banks working here in the county, and we're trying to take care of the people who have been either lost jobs or have been put out of their residence. And unfortunately, that's a large number of people that we have to take care of. Matter of fact, we have through Or Emmett, the humanistic congregation that we belong to, we have a food drop on Sunday, and any of this coming Sunday, which is the 12th, anybody wants to drop off staples and non-perishables can do so at our house in Egan from 10 to 2, and we have 6 pickup spots around the Twin Cities where people can contribute so that we take care of the less fortunate, which is what we do and what we should do.
Isn't that the great thing to see, Alan? I mean, I've always marveled at the generosity of Minnesotans, and particularly here in Dakota County. And yet I've never seen anything like I've seen the last few months, whether it's at the Open Door, Neighbors Inc., many of the faith communities doing food drives and clothing drives. And it's never in my lifetime, and I'm 54 years old now. I've never seen anything like it. But that doesn't mean we're done.
I have shoes older than you. I just want you to know that.
You can't do that, because then it's hard to keep a conversation going when I'm thinking about your shoes. There's a lot that's been done. There's a lot more that's going to need to be done. I should note, for folks in need of emergency assistance, in fact, I just talked to a local resident a few hours ago who had lost her job. She's now facing rent issues and food issues, and there is emergency assistance available. The county helps coordinate that. The easiest thing to find, or the easiest way to do it, is to just go to the county. Literally on every site on Dakota County's website, there's a banner across the top for COVID related. Just click on that. It'll take you to hotline numbers. It'll take you to resources. So if you or anybody watching, or if you know anybody that is struggling right now and is in need of assistance, it's out there. Please encourage them to be in contact.
Yeah, we'll point people in that direction. Dakota County, of course, I read some statistics recently, is the least taxed county among the suburban counties. We are the lowest. We also, last I looked, didn't have any debt, although I don't know how that's possible with the costs of the coronavirus. And it's a very unique county, and you have to take your hat off to the commissioners. We just won, I think, last year an environmental award, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Well, we've had a good run. It's a credit to, we've got a fabulous group of employees. We've had some good representation among elected officials, but we're also, we've been blessed dating back many, many years with folks that are kind of penny pinching. And part of the reason we have the lowest taxes among lowest property taxes of any county in Minnesota per person is because we lack debt. We paid off all of our debt a few years ago, and as a result, we don't have to pay interest on those debts. The average debt across the metro is over $200 million at the county level, which is the equivalent of $10–15 million a year in interest payments alone. So when you don't have to do that, you're able to keep down your taxes. You're able to do more with the taxes that you do get. So we've had some good opportunities to do more with the dollars that we receive. It also puts us in a better position, frankly, to weather storms like this one. When you don't have debt, when you have modest property taxes at the county level, it puts your businesses and your residents in a better position. And it doesn't hurt to have the best public health department in the country either.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't. Now, we had a tragedy on Diffley Road about a year ago, and I know that a lot of different agencies have looked at it to find a solution. It resulted in the death of a student at a busy crossing, and there are 3 schools right near that location. So what's the upshot of that in terms of the county?
Yeah, well, and certainly our hearts, for whether you're a parent or not, all of us hurt for the VTech family and for everybody that knew the young man. I'll say this, we don't have yet the investigation complete. It's not happening at the county level, a law enforcement investigation in terms of causation and how. So I'm not going to make any promises that what we're doing is absolutely going to prevent what happened in that particular case. What I can say is that we've looked at a number of options for improving safety dramatically in and along Diffley for pedestrians, for bicyclists, and for motorists. One of the things that became very clear is that we don't need a 4-lane highway through that area. We're able to reduce the number of lanes. It looks like the usage of roundabouts versus signals. Signals simply just don't slow people down. If there's non-compliance at a roundabout, the crashes occur at 15 or 20 miles an hour. If there's non-compliance at a signal, which happens just about the same amount of time it does at a roundabout, the result is serious injuries and deaths at 35 or 40 miles an hour. It's literally
I love my fellow Minnesotans, but I think we have to have remedial education as to how to traverse a roundabout, because I see people where there is nothing in the roundabout and they come up to the curb and they stop and go into a full stop, which is really infuriating if you're behind them, because they don't know how to drive a roundabout. So I'll impose that on you to have the remedial education for traversing a roundabout.
It's my job to single-handedly educate the world on how to use a roundabout. The bottom line is that the data is there that the serious injuries and deaths are much less likely through usage of a roundabout and at low speeds than they are at signals. All that being said is I do want to call out Senator Carlson, Representative Halverson. They are, as we speak, seeking some state funding to assist in paying for the improvements. One way or another, we're going to get it done. But those two deserve a tip of the hat for all the efforts that they've made to seek state bonding dollars to assist in the cost of that.
And if I'm not mistaken, Representative Halverson is a candidate for the county commission.
Indeed.
The upcoming election. So I guess since you went from the legislature to the commission, that's moving on up.
Well, I don't know how I'd frame it, but I do know it's a lot easier to convince 4 people and get to a majority 4 out of 7 than it is to try to get to a majority of 134 out of 201 or whatever the number of legislators you get. It's a heck of a task in the legislative process. So I enjoy the opportunity to be on the county board.
Now, Joe Atkins has been a council member in the city. He's been a mayor in a city. He's been a legislator in the House. He's now a commissioner in the county. What else is on the horizon politically for Joe Atkins?
You know, really, Alan, I enjoy local government. To me, is where the action is at. You can get stuff done. You still run into people at the gas station or the grocery store. No offense to the Angie Craigs at the federal level or Governor Walz or anybody like that, but you can really get great things done at the local level, and that's where the most positive, in my opinion, the most positive work occurs. So I like it.
Good. One thing we haven't mentioned, and I think we're very fortunate, in addition to some great local police departments. Of course, I live in Egan, and we're very proud of the Egan department, and as a matter of fact, their new headquarters. But we also have a terrific sheriff's office under Tim Leslie that I think has done an outstanding job. When law enforcement has not necessarily gotten the best publicity of late, I don't think you can fault certainly our local department and certainly the county sheriff and his department, because I think they've done an outstanding job.
I appreciate you saying that, Alan, and I will pass that along to the sheriff. Sheriff Leslie was actually one of the leaders in our effort to build a law enforcement center that focuses on crisis intervention and de-escalation in an effort to avoid violent and tragic outcomes in police stops and arrests. So he's been a leader on a lot of issues, and it's great to have him.
Now, how have you been conducting your meetings? Have you been doing it virtually, or are you people meeting together at the county commission?
What we're doing right now, Alan, is looking very familiar. We're spending a lot of time on Zoom meetings, and I very much prefer in person, but I also recognize that that's the recommendation right now from public health is to not do that under the situation that we're in. And I so look forward to getting back to in-person meetings. I can't even tell you.
You know, if you had asked me about Zoom a year ago, I would not have known what we were talking about. And we missed only 3 weeks of shows once the lockdown came in, and we've been Zooming ever since. as we are right now. So we
That's
live
great.
and learn, I guess.
That's a real credit to you and your team. And I give a lot of, so I practice law for a living, as you know, and I've give a lot of credit to the courts and everybody else like you guys that have figured out accommodations. We've been doing court appearances, bringing in clients for hearings via Zoom as well. So that all those that have figured out a way to accommodate and make this work, they deserve a lot of credit.
We have a website which has been hosted by Avi Mashar for some years now. But who is the technician who is making this Zoom meeting possible for us right now? It's Avi. He has learned a new talent, and he is our host. As a matter of fact, I hope he's watching the clock, because we don't want to go over a lot of time. But it's incredible what people have done in terms of an emergency, and how far we have come in some respects.
I think Avi just gave us the high sign there, Alan, that we've reached our time. At least I think that's what his signal was.
I didn't see the 5-minute signal, but did he just give you a 1-minute signal?
Yep, we're down at the 1 minute.
Okay, I have a stopwatch running here.
Oh, we're at the 0 according to the signal Avi just shared. So I'll let you wrap it up. But thanks for having me again. Appreciate it.
Joe Atkins, hope to see you in the studio soon when we get back in October. Thank you so much for sharing with us, because it's always an exercise in knowledge that comes from the fount of Joe Atkins. And thank you, and have a good time.
Thank you very much. Stay healthy.
Yes, you too.